Good evening, guys. I hope you all can hear me. I hope you're all having a wicked good Friday. But even though it's Good Friday, I'm here to talk about something financial in Financial Fridays. So let's talk about signal groups. So, as we're talking about signal groups, maybe some of you know what signal groups are, maybe you don't know what signal groups are. So basically, what a signal group is is a group where you enter the group. Maybe you pay for the group, maybe you don't, because there's many free groups, and there is many people who are join this free group for signals group, and then you have to join their broker. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different ways that you can find signal groups, but we're not talking how to find signal groups. We're talking about are they important? Do they make you profitable or not? Because let me give you the story about me. Guess what? I have followed signal groups before, and I followed them for a long time, maybe 6 or 7 months. I was in a group and I was following them, and I would take a trade and I would win a trade, but then I would lose a trade, and then I would win a trade, and then I would lose a trade, and then I would win a trade, and then I'd lose a trade and win a trade. And it kept on reoccurring where I started realizing that all this time I was focused on these signal groups. I could have been focused on me. I could have been focused on my strategy or my age. So I think what's super important is, are signal groups the way to go in trading, in investing, and those sort of things. I think investing, there's not a lot of signal groups. Basically, there's a lot of news events that happen that cause you to buy or sell a stock or a crypto and those sort of things. So for investing, it's not likely to happen. But in trading forex, there is a big market out there about signals. So they say, "Hey, $29, and I will give you the signals." And some signals work. I'm not saying signals don't work, but my problem with signals are, let's take a look. Signal groups equal distraction. Yeah, like I said, signal groups equal distraction. Why? Because it takes time away from you. It takes time away from your studying. When you're looking at the charts, when you're seeing what's the best entry, when you're spending that time to figure out what works for you. Because obviously, I can know nothing about trading. Go into a trading group, enter the trading signal, and lose. And I can know everything about trading and listen to a signal group and then lose the trade. Why? Because we are getting information from someone else who, we don't know their strategy, we don't know how they do their research, we don't know how they look at the markets, we don't know a lot of these things. So that's one key where I'm like, signal groups? Maybe not. Okay. Another reason for signal groups is, for example, I don't know about you, but I don't got time to look at the charts every day. I have a job. So some of you at home watching this, viewing this, maybe you also have a job. And so maybe the signal comes out 2 or 3 times. They send 2 or 3 signals a day. Now, you get the first signal in the morning. You take the trade. You win that trade. Then you take the next signal at 2 o'clock when they send you. You lose that trade. And then you take the next trade. You lose that trade. But you miss the final signal because you're in bed, because there's a time difference. So you lose the trade. Or you miss this trade, so you don't trade. So you land up on a negative scale on the day. So the next day, let's move this up a bit. All right, so on the next day, you have the same thing. But now, you don't take the trade in the morning because you're like, oh, I don't have time, or I'm at my job and stuff like that. So you miss the signal. So that, we're going to count it as you didn't profit, you didn't lost, you broke even, right? You didn't do anything. The next trade, you lost. But The next trade you didn't take, but it was a winner. So sometimes, because even with signal groups, you are going to have trades that are losers. And so instead of watching signal groups when you don't know what's going on in the market, watching signal groups when you think like you can make the extra buck, oh well, I'll just trade you this and then I'll go to the signal group so I can add more money. That's when greed comes in. You want to make more money with the signal group. And so that's what happens is like with these signal groups, I'm telling you this because I spent 6 months and I would go back and forth into signal groups, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And people who are selling signal groups, they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to be like, like some of our signals are probably not winners, because they want you to join that signal group. Even though it's free, it costs you nothing, but it costs you a lot actually. Because what does it cost you? It costs you your time. So I'm here today to tell you guys, to plead with you guys, watch out for signal groups because it's taking away from you. It's taking away from your time and you learning how to become a better trader, how to become a better investor. I know, guys, it's tiring. Sometimes we just want to be lazy and just sit and watch Netflix, sit and watch YouTube. I've been there, but until I realized that until you make the decision to go all in and to actually study the markets, to actually every morning wake up, look at the charts. What is it done? What is it done on the different pairs that you are trading? What is it done on gold? What is it done on oil? Seeing that probably a lot of you are trading oil with the crises that are going around in the world today. So a lot of the time is taken away. Your money might not be, probably you've lost money as well if you have followed some trading groups, and it's just because from my experience, because I did lose money. No, I didn't blow accounts, but I lost money. I realized this, that I sat one day and I said to myself, how on earth is it that I can become profitable by myself? Because obviously all we want to do is we want to become profitable in who we are. So we've got to deal with the things that we struggle with, the things that we're lazy at doing, the things that we don't want to do, but yet we have to put in the effort, and sometimes it's hard. And that's why it's so easy to join a signal group because the people who are doing these signal groups are going, well, people are lazy. They don't want to look at the chart every day. They don't want to figure out, is it working or is it not working? So they're like, yeah, a couple of people will join my signal charts, signal groups, and we'll send out 5 signals. Some people, they say, yeah, we'll give you 10 signals. But how do we know that the signals are going to be 100% win rate? We don't know. And so once that we look at that, we can see that our reward, like we're talking about risk management, right? Like our 1, 2, 3 risk management. Now, say for example, let's do it on the board so we can see clearly, right? Let's say, okay, 1 signal. Okay, 1 sig is a winner. Yeah, we won that. So now we're like, yes, signals are good. They make us win, right? But then number 2S, they thought. Number 3, they thought. We didn't win. We lost. So now our ratio is 1 win to 2 losses. So that would probably, if you're doing a 1 to 2 ratio, that would make you break even. Okay, that would make you break even. But now, for example, what happens if the next day comes and they give you a signal? You're like, oh, the signal in the morning was good. So 1 signal in the morning again, but this time it's a loser. And then the next signal, it's a loser. And you're frustrated. You're like, oh, these signals they're giving out is bad. So I'm not trading anymore today. I've had enough, But the 3rd signal is the winner. And you don't know that. So in order for you to maybe become profitable, is you'd have to sit at your phone, take your phone out and watch your phone all the time. You know, you would have to watch your phone and look at your phone all the time. Because if you're not looking at your phone all the time, you're probably gonna miss. You're probably gonna miss the signal. You'll probably miss the signal, and that's what you don't want, right? Sorry, it's a bit. So, for example, like I said, here you go. So, for example, in the morning you have the signal, you win. Next time you don't win, you don't win. Okay, but then the fourth signal comes out, and it was a winner, break even. But day two, you try the signals, you have a loser, you have a loser, and oh, you're like, no, those two trades were bad trades. I lost trades. Then the third one comes out and it's a winner. So unless you are taking every single signal that the signal group comes out with, the profitability and the way of making money is slim. You have a better chance really going into your risk management, really looking at your risk to reward ratio when trading than you are to take a signal and to take a signal from a signal group. Because there are lots of people who are sending signals out. And I don't know if you know of a signal group that is 100% right every time, they're probably charging 1,000 to 2,000 per month. Because signal groups, most of the time, cannot be 100% because even we as traders are not 100%. Some days we are profitable, some days we have winning trades, and some days we have losing trades. And that's the reality of business, and that's the reality of trading as well. And sometimes you just have great days. You know, like you take a trade, you lose. The next day you take a trade, you lose. The next day you take a trade, you lose. I heard the other day someone said something important. When you're having a losing month or something like that, go back to paper trading. You know, because we're paper trading mainly. But go back to paper trading if you're risking real money. Go back to paper trading and see if your strategy has lost its edge or you're slacking a little bit. Because sometimes over the time, when we get into a habit, because we're so used to it, sometimes laziness in different areas creep up. So unless we are looking towards where our mistakes are, and this is again why it's so important to write down your trades and write down information. Believe me, I'm speaking for myself. So, as I was saying, back to that, is that basically we just got to make sure, like make sure that when you are, because I know after this video, some of you are probably still going to go into your signal groups because that's how you've done trading for so long, So I think just for what I want to see with people, or I want what all right. So what I want for you guys is just to basically be understanding of what happens when you join signal groups. Because when I chose to join signal groups, I was still in the beginning phase. I didn't understand of like I didn't have that understanding of how much it actually takes, to become a profitable trader. I didn't understand the fact of how many distractions. That's why I did this because, how many distractions. How many distractions there are when it comes to the world in general, not just trading. There are so many distractions that will happen in your daily life, where it will even stop you from trading or looking at the charts. Like waking up early, looking at the charts before and seeing ways. Because the thing is, like when you're a trader or when you're looking at investments and stuff like that, and the market and all that sort of stuff, it's kind of an assumption of where the market is going by what your strategy says. So some of the time, like a whole bunch of us can be bullish and win trades, and a whole bunch of us can be bearish and still win trades, depending on how you trade. And so that's why it's like the journey when you decide to learn something new or learn about trading in general. Like there's so much I learn every day. It's not even like it's for me. It's like been how long have I like I started learning about trading maybe in 2000 after because I started investing and I was like, well, this is interesting. And then after that, when I started to figure out, oh, trading is a thing, because I travel a lot, and so I was like, yeah, but you could actually make money if you change Forex and those sort of things. So I thought, well, let me learn trading. So I started learning trading and I was like, oh, so this is how the market moves. This is where different candles show different information, and so it's just like, as all of us have different time constraints, some of us might have kids, some of us might be in a 9 to 5 job, so like the different learning patterns take different time spaces. Like some of the people that have a lot of time could probably learn this in 3 4 months and just be like, boom, I'm doing well, and I get it. But some people might take years, and I think it's just because we have to sort ourselves out first. Like that's why psychology, like they say, psychology is 80% of trading and 20% is your strategy, because it's literally dealing with who you are as a person. You have to deal with sitting on your hands and being patient. Like the times I've, paper traded or something like that and just stopped the trade just because I'm like, oh, I didn't hit my limit order because it's probably not going there anymore. And then an hour later or 2 hours later, boom, it hits. So it's also patience and stuff like that. And that's why signal groups don't teach you those sort of things. Like when you get a signal, you put the trade in, and then they say, okay, like it might hit, it might not hit. And it also depends on what you're trading, because some of you might be trading the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minutes for like a day trader, and some of you might be a little bit of a swing trader. So I think it's important that you really think about what um, what ways do you want to become profitable? What ways do you want to learn how to trade? Because I think most of the time, um, the more and more I realize it, it's just like you need to say to yourself and you need to discipline yourself. This is why being disciplined is so important in trading as well. Like signal groups and all that sort of stuff. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. For me personally, POV of me, I think they don't work because of the way they are set up, and like there is no 100%, like way of knowing whether this trade signal they give you is going to hit your take profit or hit your stop loss. There is no way of knowing unless you are sitting next to the person and trading with that person step by step, and they're discussing the strategy and how they got towards the trade. It's technically impossible, to literally, how can I say, make sure that you are going to consistently win. So that is basically my discussion tonight. I just wanted to discuss that because it was like really, really something I was thinking about. Like things that I've been through, and this is one thing that I went through. Like I decided to go and get myself stuck and distracted for a long time in this. And yes, it was predominantly in the beginning was because I was lazy. And simple effect is that most of us, like even though some of us we are very proud of ourselves and we would never say that we are lazy, but I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to say that sometimes I get lazy too. And I think that's important is, again, the more you start to know yourself, the more you realize what things you need to trade in order to become a better trader. So, I hope I haven't confused you too much. And sorry about the technologically difficult things that happened today.